Today, we are asking a big questions. If you were building a democracy from scratch, what operating system would you choose? Most people think that it's just a choice between a president and a prime minister. But political scientists Moe and Caldwell argue it's bigger than that. It's what they call a package deal. When a country picks a system, they aren't only picking a leader, they are choosing how their government works, how law get passed, and even how messy their bureaucracy becomes. Let's unwrap. First up, let's look at presidential system, like in United States. The keyword here is separations. The president and legislature are elected separately. They have their own power, and they often disagree. The pro is stable, they have checks and balances so no one gets too powerful. The con is prone to gridlock. It's really hard to get everyone to agree. Because it is hard to pass a law, the politicians often get paranoid. When they create a new agency, like for the environment or health, they bury it in strict rules to protect it from the future presidents. The result? You get an organizational nightmare. The bureaucracy between slow and confusing because it's fighting through layers of protections red tape. It's safe, but it's inefficient. Now, let's flip the coin to the parliamentary systems, like in Malaysia. The keyword here is fusions. The Prime Minister isn't separated. They are a leader of the majority party in the parliaments. They are on the same team. The pro? It is highly effective. If the government wants to pass a law, they just do it. There's no gridlock, the bureaucracy is sleek, unified, and does exactly what the leaders want. But here is the con. Uncertainty. Because the government is too powerful, they can change the rules overnight. If the new party wins, they can easily undo everything the last guy did. This creates a trust issue. Businesses and citizens worry.
Hi and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Amikisna binti Nizarozani. I'm from AM1103F, and today I'm going to talk about the structure and the power distribution between executive and legislative relationship. Second, the head of state versus the head of government, and the last one is election and the processes appointment. What do you know about the structure and the power distribution between executive and legislative relationship? I'm going to tell you about it. So, in democratic systems, government power is divided to prevent from the usurpation of the authority. Two key branches involved in governance are the legislative, which is the lawmaking, and the executive, the law implementing. So, the way these two branches interact determines to how power is shared, balanced, and controlled. While the executive proposes policies and appeals, the legislature debates and approves them. This interaction ensures checks and balance and preventing from abuse of power. And next, I'm going to talk about the head of state versus the head of government. What do you think about these two, head of states and the head of government? Head of state is the official representatives of the nation and serves as a symbol of national unity, continuity, and sovereignty. This role is often ceremonial, focusing on formal duties such as signing laws, representing the country at official events, and embodying the identity of the state rather than exercising direct political power. So, what do you think about head of government? The head of government is the individual who holds the executive authority and is responsible for running the government. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about the election and appointment processes of structure and power distribution in parliamentary system and presidential systems. So, in a parliamentary systems, the election and appointment processes are closely linked because the executive emerges, the head of government, which is the prime minister, is then appointed by the head of state, usually based on who commands majority support in parliament. Ministers are typically chosen from among elected members of parliament. The head of state, such as a monarch and ceremonial president, is usually not elected by the people and plays a symbolic role, acting on the advice of the prime minister and cabinet. This system emphasizes accountability as the executive can remain in power only as long as it maintains in the confidence of the legislature. And next, in a presidential system, the election and appointment processes are more clearly separated to reflect a strict separation of powers. The head of government and the head of states are the same person, the president, who is directly elected by the people for a fixed term. The legislature is also elected separately, meaning the executive does not depend on legislative confidence to remain in office. Members of the president's cabinet are appointed by the president, often with legislative approval, but they are not members of the legislature. This system provides stability through fixed terms, but it can also lead to political deadlock if the executive and legislature are controlled by different political parties. So that's all for me. Thank you.
These factors can help us understand on how the governments perform and how they respond to challenges. Today, we are going to compare how Malaysia and the United States govern their countries. In Malaysia, the government follows a parliamentary system. It means the Prime Minister and the Cabinet are chosen from the members of Parliament, usually from majority party or coalitions. It means the executive, which is the government, and legislature, which is parliament, work closely together. So why is it matters? It is because of this close relationship, decisions can be made quickly. So if the government wants to pass a new law, most of the members of parliament from ruling coalitions usually support it. Other than that, the party discipline is so strong that most members of parliament are expected to follow the party lines when voting. So what is the advantages? The pros of it is policies and decisions can be implemented swiftly. Other than that, the government can respond quickly to social and economic challenges. And there is of course the disadvantages. The cons is sometimes there's a less scrutiny from the parliament and the opposition parties may have limited influence on policy decisions. Next is the United States. The US uses a presidential system where executive and legislative and judicial branches are separate. So it means the president is elected independently of Congress, which means the president is not part of the legislature. What does it mean for decision making? Passing laws is more complicated because bills must go through both House of Representatives and the Senate. So, if the president and Congress are controlled by different political parties, it can lead to divided governments and policy deadlocks. So, what is the advantages? The advantages is it can limit the risk of abuse of power by the president and also encourages debate and negotiation before policies are approved. The cons are the lawmaking can be slower and less efficient. Next, we are going to go to the accountability. In Malaysia, the government is politically accountable to Parliament, which is the Prime Minister and Cabinets must answer questions and explain their actions during the parliamentary debates. If the government loses Parliament support, a vote of no confidence can remove the Prime Minister. This ensures the government is responsive to elected representatives and the public. So, what about United States? US accountability is more legal and constitutional rather than political. The president doesn't have to answer questions regularly in Congress. Oversight happens through congressional committees, the courts, and independent watchdogs. The impeachment exists for serious offenses but is rare and politically complicated. So, the difference are Malaysia emphasizes political accountability while the United States emphasizes legal accountability.
Okay, so for my slide, I would like to talk about the example of country first. Many countries choose different system of government depending on their history and needs. Two common systems are the parliamentary system and presidential system. In a parliamentary system such as in Malaysia and the United Kingdom, the government is formed from parliament. The Prime Minister and the Cabinet must have the support of Parliament to stay in power, which helps to ensure the accountability. In a presidential system, like in the United States and Indonesia, the president is elected separately from the legislature. The president has a fixed term and does not rely on parliamentary support, which provides stronger stability and clear separation of powers. Next, I would like to share about the advantages and disadvantages. The parliamentary system promotes efficiency and accountability because the executive is responsible to Parliament. Laws can be passed more easily and leadership can change without a general election. However, this system may become unstable, especially in coalition governments, and a dominant party can weaken checks and balance. For the presidential system, it offers strong leaderships and political stability, as the president is directly elected for a fixed term. The separation of powers helps prevent power concentration. However, it is less flexible, can face policy deadlock, and may allow abuse of power if executive authority becomes too strong. In conclusion, the parliamentary system risks in instability, while presidential system risk abuse of executive power.